Today we are going to be reviewing the MSI GL66 Pulse gaming laptop. We're going to take a deep dive into the specs, show you some gaming benchmarks, and give you pros and cons to why you should buy this gaming laptop. Stay tuned. Starting off, I believe this is a great mid-tier gaming laptop. Its design, made by Martin Verhoeven, consists of an aluminum lid and a plastic body. It has a sturdy feel, but in reality, it's actually fairly thin. Not what I'm used to from laptops I've had in the past. For that reason, I tend to be pretty cautious with it. I prefer laptops that have a bit more heft, but this one's lightweight design makes it ideal for travel. I love the futuristic design of the lid, but I was disappointed to find that the dragon logo didn't light up like my other MSI laptop. I have never had a laptop with this type of mesh design on the bottom before. It should improve airflow into the case, especially if you have a laptop cooler. The case has rear and side-facing vents. I've used it at both a desk and while laying in bed, and found it very comfortable to use in both scenarios except when it gets hot, but we'll talk about that later. The keyboard backlight is a nice feature for when you're in a dimly lit room. However, the 15.6 IPS display could be a bit brighter. It's 144 Hz refresh rate and 1920 by 1080p. Resolution makes it ideal for gaming. However, its color contrast isn't quite what you'd want for artistic uses. But don't worry, it has a 4K 60Hz HDMI port, so you can provide your own display geared for whatever use you need. The display is driven by an RTX 3060 GPU, and while it's expected for laptop GPUs to be lower powered than equivalent desktop GPUs, this 3060 is reportedly underpowered when compared to other laptops with similar specs. Presumably, this is to manage heat output and doesn't seem to have a significant impact on performance. At the end of the day, it's still a 3060 with 6 GB of GDDR6. Alongside the GPU, we have one of Intel's latest designs, the Core i7-11800H. This is an 8-core CPU with Turbo Boost technology, idling at 2.3 GHz and maxing out at 4.6 GHz when in boost mode. When combined with the 16 GB of DDR4, 3200 RAM, it creates a buttery, smooth experience. Applications load quickly, and it's able to handle quite a bit of processing load without noticeable slowdown. And if you're into applications that are heavy on memory usage, like 3D modeling and rendering, or using virtual machines, the RAM is upgradable to 64 GB. This laptop comes stock with a 512 NVMe SSD paired with a 1TB HDD. I didn't actually realize that the expansion drive was a platter drive until I was using the laptop and heard the telltale clicking of the hard drive arm moving around during its read cycle. Nothing wrong with that for an extra drive, and you can always replace it with an SSD if you want better read/write speeds. There are also 3 USB 3.2 ports, one of them a Type-C connection, and a single USB 2.0 port, great for external storage. The GL66 is virtual reality ready and can handle any VR headset currently on the market. I'm a VR junkie, so if you're interested in VR like me, I definitely recommend it. So how do all these specs come together? I ran the GL66 through 4 different benchmarks, both with and without a laptop cooler. I've marked the GL66 scores in pink and other comparable system scores in purple. So let's start with the CPU benchmarking software Cinebench. The GL66 scored a 8,249 when using a laptop cooler and showed a 5% drop in performance without the cooler due to thermal throttling. Overall, it scored above average among similar systems. Next up, we have Firestrike, a full system benchmarking tool from 3D Mark. Again, we see the GL66 scoring above average among similar laptops, with the same 5% drop in performance between using and not using a cooler. Next up, TimeSpy, another 3D Mark benchmark. This time, the difference between using a cooler and not is pretty minimal, likely due to TimeSpy not pushing the system to the point of throttling. And again, the GL66 comes out ahead of similar laptop systems. Finally, there's Superposition by Unigine. Here we see an interesting result. The GL66 performs only slightly better than a similar gaming laptop and does considerably worse without a cooler, suffering a 10% drop in performance. That brings us to the biggest drawback, in my personal opinion, the temperatures. The GL66 does get uncomfortably hot when under a load. I've seen the CPU max out at nearly 100 degrees, which is pretty hot even for laptop standards. It appears to typically idle somewhere between 55 and 60 degrees, and occasionally spikes up to 70 degrees. That's a bit on the high side for idle temps. Some people like to check the thermal paste in this scenario, but I haven't opened this particular laptop yet. Instead, I've been using throttle stop to turn down the overclock on the CPU turbo boost. If you've never used throttle stop before, I highly recommend it. It gives you a very fine control over the power of your CPU, so you can create that perfect balance between performance and heat output. Combined with a laptop cooler, this should resolve any heat issues you might have. Overall, this is a great mid-tier gaming laptop at a reasonable price. Shortly after I bought it, it was sold out, but don't worry, it's in stock now. So there you have it, the MSI GL66 Pulse Gaming Laptop. So if you guys liked this review, please remember to like and subscribe because it'll help my channel out. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.